What's the last thing you remember, Danny?
He said we had to run.
The reason you survived is because you're a very uncommon girl. You're not alone. Not anymore. Do you know what mutants are? Would anyone like to share their first time? Rain?
I was 13. I thought it was a dream. I just lost control.
Sam?
I started panicking. People got hurt.
Roberto?
My girlfriend had burned her.
Ileana?
I killed 18 men, one by one. This isn't a hospital. It's a cage.
It's important we find out your power so we can help you get better.
I saw something I don't think she wanted me to see. I don't think we're here to get better.
This place takes your greatest fear and makes you live through it until it kills you.
Who's there? We can get out of this together.
I'm going to watch 30 movies, a movie each day in June. It's day 9 of year 8 of movie month, and the podcast will start soon. He's going to watch 30 movies, some good films and some lowbrow. Year 8 of fans, not experts, movie month, and the podcast starts right now. Year 8 of movie month, that much you already know. Year 8 of movie month, and now it's time for the show.
I remember seeing the first X-Men film around the time it first came out. Not in the theater, just around the time it first came out. And I never saw X2. I never saw Last Stand. And I remember hearing, oh, X2 is so great, Last Stand is bad, blah, blah, blah. And so I finally watched X2 at some point, and yeah, I guess it was good. I think maybe I went in with my expectations too high, but after that I didn't watch any other X-Men films. And then I started Movie Month. And on the second day of Movie Month, I'm talking the second day ever, on June 2nd, 2014, I watched X-Men Last Stand. And part of Movie Month was me catching up on certain movies and certain series and certain franchises. One of those was X-Men. I joked with a coworker today that Movie Month lives on the back of the Warrens from the Conjuring movies, the X-Men, and the Fast and the Furious franchises. I've seen so many X-Men movies now because of Movie Month. because I wanted to see them to a certain point. But they got better, and then they got drastically worse. I loved X-Men First Class, and everyone loved Days of Future Past. That was actually really good too. I really enjoyed that movie. And that was it. That was no, I shouldn't say that was the last good X-Men movie, because we had Logan, and Logan was great. It was just its own thing. Just like today's movie was its own thing. But the X-Men movies themselves, like the franchise X-Men, got gradually worse. So what was it? X-Men Apocalypse, terrible. I thought it sucked. And then what could make it worse? Dark Phoenix. And I saw that I think 2 years ago for Movie Month. They didn't even put X-Men in the title. I think they were just like, And then I think later they added it in, realizing no one's going to see this movie. And that started the one of the girls from Game of Thrones, one of the Stark sisters. And the other Stark sister's like, what about me? I want to be in an X-Men movie. And they said, all right, here you are. It's not quite an X-Men movie, but there's mutants in it. And that brings us to today's movie. A movie that waited as long as it could to be released. A movie that was in production probably in 2017. It was supposed to be released in 2018. Then it was supposed to be released in 2019. And then you hear reshoots. And then you see this. And you're thinking it's never going to happen. And then finally Disney buys the Fox Studios. This was not a 20th Century Fox release. This was a 20th Century Studios release. I noticed that because the logo at the beginning was different. And Disney was like, oh, there's a pandemic going on? Let's just put this out in theaters and get it over with. And say goodbye to this X-Men franchise because we're taking over. At least that's my belief. This is officially the last X-Men movie of that franchise. At least as far as I know. Until Marvel officially takes over and Disney officially takes over. Because Disney was like, given this movie, they're like, here it is. And they're like, oh, okay, let's put it on theaters. And amazingly, it made $23 million in the United States. I thought that would be what it would make even if there wasn't a pandemic. The fact that it made that much with a pandemic is shocking to me. And I remember little things about this movie. Oh, it's supposed to be it's basically a horror movie with X-Men in it, with mutants in it. What I would say is it's a horrible movie with X-Men in it, with mutants in it. And yet, I wanted to watch it. I wanted to watch it, and I finally watched it today. A little over 90 minutes. Just a complete waste of my time. I guess what I'm trying to say is, are these characters supposed to be setting up future X-Men movies? Like, if that was, like, here they are, folks, the new mutants, and they come out and they wave, and, like, now they're joining the X-Men. Here's what the movie's about. Literally, we have one girl who her family is getting attacked by something in the winter. I guess look, I'm spoiling this movie, so I guess at the end we find out that the thing that attacked her town or her reservation, she's a Native American. The thing that attacked her was the bear from her visions, because spoiler alert, her X-Men mutant power is like making you live your fear, including herself. I don't know, dumb. So her father gets killed. She runs. She gets flung up in the air, unconscious, wakes up in a hospital. Inside the hospital, she sees a little dog girl played by Macy Williams from Game of Thrones. Now, it's funny because at the time, I feel like when this movie was being made, Macy Williams was bigger because of Game of Thrones. Like, she was great on Game of Thrones. She was a star on Game of Thrones. And then this movie comes out, and I'm like, oh, God, this is the movie that she's trying to make movies with. And then you see, she was top billed in this movie. Next was Anya Taylor-Joy, who, after this, because, again, this was filmed years ago, propelled into stardom with Queen's Gambit on Netflix. And I've known her, from Movie Month all the way back to Split. And she's playing the Russian. I'm a Russian girl. Then we got Charlie Heaton, who is from Stranger Things. He plays Jonathan on there. He talks like this on there. I think he's really British or Australian or something in real life. And here he's a southern boy. My daddy and I worked in a coal mine. This piece of coal my daddy gave me before he died. He literally carried a piece of coal around that his daddy gave him. Oh, so dumb. And then there was a guy that I have no idea who he was. And he's a fire boy. He turns to fire. So the girl ends up in the hospital with these 4 people and a doctor. That's it. That's your friggin' movie. So there's 5 kids and a doctor in this hospital under a dome that I guess is powered by the we find out later the nurse has mutant powers and she can put you in domes. I don't know. Who gives a shit? They kind of, you see them going through testing, trying to figure out what her power is. We try to, they're like going to little group sessions of like therapy where they're talking. And they're like, when are we going to get out of here? And we have to make sure you are safe before you see what you go to next. The nurse keeps saying. And I'm like, what is this? What is this? Like the main actress, the main girl, I didn't think she was very good. I don't know. She was fine in some points, but other points not very good. Even the actresses you know are good, that you've seen do good things, that have been lauded for their performances. I was like, oh my God. She's a Russian, like Anya Taylor-Joy plays a Russian girl whose mutant power is to turn her arm into armor and a sword and have a dragon, a stuffed animal dragon turn into a real dragon. That was so freaking confusing. This movie had gone through rewrites and edits, and I saw something where the director felt like he was, like constrained and walking on eggshells and like trying to, make this. He wanted to make this a true horror movie. I don't know, but this guy did a couple like I feel like teeny bop movies. Then he did The Stand on Paramount Plus, CBS All Access that came and went, and I didn't hear much about. But this was his only horror movie, and it just was bad. Like I didn't care. I wasn't invested all that much in the characters. I didn't care. Like I guess we see them having visions of horrible things because the new girl's powers did that, even though she didn't know her powers. Then one of the girls, I guess, was attacked by smiling men as a girl. So now she sees these giant smiley demons who look very, very stupid. And those were kind of the bad guys at one point. Like the who they had to run from, these smiley demons that were from her head. The dog girl, she was afraid of a priest who branded her with an M for mutant. Even though on the shoulder it looked like a W upside down. So that the priest didn't even do that right. That was stupid. The Charlie boy, Charlie Heaton, he was haunted by a coal mine that he saw through a clothes dryer in the laundry room. Yep, that actually happened. And then the fire boy, who can't get with girls because he gets too hot, and he burned up his girlfriend because he was too hot for her. He was in a pool with, I guess, it was a vision of the Russian girl, but he burnt her on fire. I don't know, and I don't care. This, like, I think when I watched Dark Phoenix, I was just like, this is boring. And I don't know, I feel like this might have been boring again. Just kind of like, it felt small stakes. I didn't care about these people. There was no saving the world. There was no bad thing. There wasn't even a real villain. I guess the final fight was against a bear that was constructed by the main girl's powers. And she said, go away, bear. Everything, like, she got control of her powers, and the bear just went, okay, I'm going to go away. And then Anya Taylor-Joy at one point called the bear Yogi, and I'm like, who under the age of 50 even knows who friggin' Yogi Bear is? But then I'm wondering if this took place in the 90s, because there were a couple scenes where they're in or the early 2000s, or the 90s, Buffy the Vampire Slayer was on in the common room, and the TV was not an HD TV, it was a square TV, and I'm thinking, so I was thinking too much into this. And then at one point, they're testing this main girl, this new girl, and the doctor's superiors were like, you must test her, take samples, and execute her, kill her off. Then it shows like was it Essex Corporation or Enter Corporation? I know what it is. It's the I Don't Give a Shit Corporation, because this was like a tease to, I guess, future bads for future movies that I am almost positive are never going to happen. Disney, come on in. Pick a few things you like from the X-Men movie. Maybe some of the actors. If we're rebooting things with age and stuff, take James McAvoy, take the young Magneto, grab old X-Man, grab old, I wanted to call him Hugh Grant, but Hugh Jackman, do some time weird thing where, whoa, he comes back, wait, maybe even stick Patrick Stewart in there in the future. I don't know, I don't care. Or start all over. There are good characters in there. Can you hear that? I think that was a jackhammer. I think they're doing some kind of the steps being replaced by like stone workers, so there might be a bit of a jackhammer. Oh my God! You know what? Who gives a shit? This movie doesn't even deserve good audio. So I'm just going to talk over the jackhammer, if you can even hear it. I don't even know if you can. So anyway, pick some of the good actors, pick some of the good characters, pick some of the good stories. Either throw them in a movie or start over. Like you didn't think, you think Disney looked at Spider-Man and saw Andrew Garfield and they were like, well, I don't care. We're going to start over. Let's just start over. Everything will be fine. And no one even thinks about those movies anymore. I forget they even happened. I've never even seen them. Part of me is like, do I watch them someday? Because the new Spider-Man movie is going to somehow connect all of them. And maybe I do. But they're not. I think they're going to connect all of them. But they're not that important because they just said, we're going to start over. New Spider-Man, new Peter Parker. This, here we go. Boom, bang, boom. They could do it again with X-Men and no one would even bat an eye. It looks like they're going to do it with Fantastic Four. At least those movies are so old that that no one quite remembers them. Like this time around, these movies, again, this just came out last year. So the X-Men are still sort of fresh in their mind. Like, this movie did as little as possible to connect it to X-Men. They mentioned the X-Men. Have you heard of the X-Men? And like, they're not making X-Men. They're not making us X-Men. They're making us killers. And they mentioned mutants a bunch. And they kept calling you're new mutants this, new mutants that, new mutants. Yeah, blah, 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 blah. Oh my God. This, I wish my mutant powers were to close my ears and my eyes and not watch this movie. And yet, here we are. Look, part of movie month is me watching movies I want to see. And there's always, most of the time, you're going to hear me saying pretty positive things about them because I want to see them, and I want to see them because I've heard they're good movies. But not every time. Sometimes they're just movies that I've heard are bad, and I want to see them anyway. This was a movie so bad that even the Metacritic score is higher than the Rotten Tomatoes score, which I don't think I've ever seen before. It's how low this movie scored. I feel like, look, obviously they're making Fast and Furious 9, Fast and Furious 10. I'm going to see those movies. If they keep making Conjuring and Annabelle movies, even if they're garbage, I'm going to see them. It's just, that's the way this rolls. And if they somehow made another X-Men movie, yes, I'd see it. But please don't. Please don't. So, oh my God, that jackhammer's getting worse. And I don't care. I'm going to be done soon. Please don't worry about it. Here's the thing. It was like, you've come this far. Just rip the Band-Aid off. Finish it off. They didn't do... I thought maybe at the end we'd see like an evil Magneto or something being like, oh, we've tested them, or they've passed the test, or something like that. Nothing connecting them to this. Now, maybe that was planned and they just shelved it because, the sale, or because this was almost... I feel like this movie was almost scrapped. Almost just pushed away. At one point, I thought it was just not going to be released. But they did such nonsense, nothing to connect this to X-Men except a few references, that it was just an effing waste of time. That's all I can say. If you want to see subpar acting, subpar effects, some things are kind of like they have a couple of visuals that are like, oh, that's kind of cool. I don't know how that's an X-Men mutant power, but okay. But nothing unique, nothing fresh, nothing worthwhile. Just all in all, a big fart of a movie. And that's what I've come to expect with these X-Men movies. Like, I walked out of Dark Phoenix, I walked out of... Dark Phoenix I saw in the theater. What's wrong with me? I saw Apocalypse, and I just remember seeing the trailer going, is anyone else thinks this is terrible? Because this is terrible. Like, it was really bad. And Apocalypse was like, can't get much worse than this. And Dark Phoenix said, you want to bet? And then New Mutants were like, hold my laser sword, because it was a laser sword in this. It wasn't or some kind of future mutant sword. I don't know. And guess what? I don't care. I'm done with this X-Men, I hope. Next time I talk about an X-Men, that better not be in association with Marvel Studios, and I'd better not even see a 20th Century Studios. I just want to see Marvel Studios, that beginning. I want to see new actors, or at least some new actors, get a real, better director, better story. These just, you can tell the difference between these movies. There's a uber seriousness to these X-Men movies, the dramatic, just the way they're shot, the way they're told. There's not a joy or brightness that you see in the Marvel movies that they try to bring. But, I guess this was supposed to be a horror movie to begin with, so it's supposed to be that way. It was literally a shitty horror movie masked as an X-Men movie because of mutants. That's what I just saw. And I had no reason to ever see it again. That's what New Mutants are. And I'm done. So I'm done today. 9 days in, and that's it. I want to thank you guys I don't want to talk about this anymore. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for subscribing. If you listen to this, and yet when I say, should I watch it? I'm like, well, if you watched all the other X-Men movies, that's the only reason to watch it. One of my coworkers is like, oh, I wanted to see it. Well, you know what? If you watched it, you saw it. But if you didn't watch it, you didn't see it. That's the only difference. You don't come out of it thinking anything better or different. You didn't miss anything if you didn't watch it. You didn't gain anything if you did watch it. Anyway, you can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Geek Mentality. The Facebook page is Fans Not Experts, and the website is fansnotexperts.com. I'm completely done. 9 movies down, 21 to go. I'm not talking about this movie anymore. So that's it, my friends. I think the jackhammering has stopped. So I'm done talking about this movie. I'm done talking about this day. Until tomorrow, my friends. You know it's coming, right? Say it with me. Come on, say it with me. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Here is my theme song. This is my podcast. I made it. Geek Mentality's what I named it. And I think you should listen and subscribe. 'Cause I'm kinda funny and awesome. I think that I'm worth your time, and I'm kinda handsome. My mom says, please listen and please subscribe. At least listen to this episode. Fans Not Experts.